The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program, and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Well, there goes the music. Hello, welcome to Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ. No, we got hold on.
Oh, wait a minute. We have a special. Okay.
We have a special announcement starting today. I got to get her up on the screen on the other side. Okay. Starting today, we have a new co-anchor to work with you on the anchor desk, Chip. And for the first time, we're going to introduce Nisa Vinyej to the anchor desk. Welcome, Nisa.
Thank you, CJ and Chip, for having me.
Wow, boy, this is an upgrade.
Oh, boy.
I'm telling you, this is great. It's great to have Nisa here.
Thank you.
As many of our viewers know, they witnessed you at the People's Debate, which, by the way, the People's Debate is a news-sponsored organization, not by political dissidents.
And also, for the sake of clarity, while we're on that subject, one of the people who were presenting that and made that statement also said that there were people escorted out. That was the Herald News Debate, that they escorted 4 people out. So
right.
Just for the sake of clarity and accuracy, it wasn't ours, and that's not a condemnation of the Herald News Debate. It's just a fact.
Right.
So, you know, if we're going to report facts and we're going to talk about things, let's get our facts straight. And, you know, we understand how difficult it is sometimes to control the masses. So the fact is that it wasn't our debate that people were escorted out by the police, basically.
Yeah, that's true. But, you know, it was a very interesting election, primary yesterday. Initially, it was reported that it was between 15 and 16 percent of the people came out to vote, which is poor at best. That count is now up to somewhere around the 20 to 22% mark. But again, that's poor at best. And this is why, you know, I said in my column this morning that Fall River shall remain an apathetic cesspool, because people complain, people want action, people want change, but they can't get off their backside to go out and vote. And this is why Fall River shall always remain the same.
And the propaganda. But I also want to say, Nisa is here with us today. She is very active. She's new on the Fall River political scene, but she has been active in the Providence area and stuff. So
yes.
If you want to give us a little background, Nisa, that would be nice, okay?
Well, I'm a student at the Community College of Rhode Island, and recently been appointed for the Governor's Committee on Ethnic Media. And we had an ethnic media roundtable this Monday, and that was an honor to be there. It was my first one-on-one, sort of say, with the governor. There was about 18 people at the roundtable, and we discussed a lot of issues that do affect our community overall, but more specifically, people, ethnic people, people of color, Portuguese, Hispanics, especially Brazilians too. But yeah, we went about and we had mentioned a lot of things like opioid addictions, how to better approach certain issues within projects, housing projects. And we did a lot of things that were supposed to be on the agenda. And with my platform, it was strictly opioid addiction, because it has a correlation between depression. And I just think it was a great experience to just bring that out. And our purpose would be to better communicate in radio, television, these issues, so that we can have resources out there. People need to know that there are resources for that. So
that's great, and it's great to have you. And you're going to find, as CJ and I unfortunately know, you think Providence is bad. Wait till you get, now that you're involved in Fall River politics, this is like an alternate universe. So, you know, it's almost like being in a different dimension when you deal with Fall River. So let's get to the elections, huh? Okay, first of all, let's talk about the bipolar Fall River voters, okay? We have a situation where Jazel Correa beat C. Samuel Sutter in the preliminary election for mayor, which is kind of a message, which is number one. Let's face the facts. When you have a fairly low voter turnout, it normally favors the incumbent because they get their political lackeys and and sycophants out there to vote. They try, they can normally deliver their base where people who are running without that machine that most incumbents have and the money. And there was a lot of money that Sam spent. I got a couple of really colorful graphic kind of, mail in there. But there was one thing he was talking about, and I meant to bring it in, and I apologize, but it said on both of the cards I got, and they were fairly large cards, said get involved. He meant get involved with his campaign. But I'm going to take that and say, listen, people, get involved in the election. You can't complain and then not show up to vote. It's like, okay, and the bipolarness. So this would indicate that a non-incumbent beats an incumbent mayor, that the people are upset and they want change. Then we go and look at the city council race.
Well, Chip, before we move on, let's look at those numbers. And I'll bring the screen up, and I'd like to thank Fall River Government Television and FRC Media for these screens. I mean, when you look at that, you have Jazel F. Correa, 4774, and C. Samuel Sutter at 4106. And I think the biggest thing here is people say that's not a lot of votes at 658 votes or whatever it may be. But when you look at the other number of votes, 669 for Jordan, 274 for Bob Alexander, 171 for Richard Renzi, which, Chip, we gotta give you props. You were right, I'm calling that one. No ifs, ands, or buts about that.
Wasn't a difficult call.
No, I know. But when you put all of these numbers together, you're looking at Sam having come up with somewhere around 1,800 plus votes in the general election to call that over, which means he's got to really get out the vote. But I think what he really needs to do is address his persona. We've said numerous times on this show that he is the, epitome of the absent mayor. He became ubiquitous as this election came closer. And, when you go to see your mayor, you go to talk to your mayor, you want to talk to your mayor. And he can't be seen in City Hall, he couldn't be seen anywhere. And now people are seeing Jazel everywhere, and they always have. And that speaks volumes to the voters. Now, if we have 22% of the vote coming out again, I'm going to be nauseous. Okay, so let's make that perfectly clear. But, you have to look at these numbers and say something's wrong here. Because everyone's saying they want change, but really the only change you're really truly looking at right now is the mayoral. And you want to move on to the city council, so let's move on.
No, but let's since we're on this subject, let's then we can get into the bipolarness, because we'll put this one to the aside because it shows. Now, you look at these numbers, they don't look impressive, but if you look at the percentages, Jazel got 47% of the vote.
Yeah.
47, that's pretty close to 51, a lot closer than 40%, which is what C. Samuel Sutter got, which means for C. Samuel Sutter to win the election, he has to move, with the people who've already voted, he has to move 11% to win an election and go to 51. And the people who normally don't come out in a primary do not favor incumbents. It's just a fact that people who are incumbents get their vote out, and there's not a large uptick in the final election. So, C. Samuel Sutter has a tremendous hill to climb. And one of the problems, and we can be political analysts, because when they have elections, they have these post-election analysis and why these things happen. And I think that not only is he an absentee mayor, he is a mayor that does not connect with the people of Fall River. He seems to basically not understand the city that he lives in. And he's out, it's kind of like the only people that he resonates with are the people with six-figure incomes. He doesn't understand with some of his policies and his taxes and the way he handles himself that we live in a city that these tax increases and the things. He said yesterday, and it was quite a vitriolic rant he went on, that, you know, there are a lot of people in this city who like what I'm doing. Well, in reality, I think most of the people who like what you're doing have six-figure incomes, household incomes. And I think this was shown by this election. And, you know, I did have a conversation with him early in his term. And I kind of tried to tell, I did tell him, I said, listen, you know, you got to realize that the city you live in. And I think not only has he not been available and accessible, but he has not really taken the time to really get to know the average person in Fall River, the person living on an income that, you know, I mean, there's a big difference between living in the Highlands and with a six-figure household income and living in a three-decker with two kids and a wife to support, and then have to absorb all these increases. And I think that really hurt him. And, well, you know, with that, you know, you know, and as you know, CJ said, it's not only the 600 votes, it's the almost 600, over 600, 669 that Jordan James Sylvia got. You know, there's 1,000 votes in addition. So it was like 1,600 votes. So if you look at that, that's why the percentage, you know, the percentage is even greater than 47% of the vote. When you look at the total vote total, I mean, this is a very big hill. And hopefully we'll get a lot of spirited debate and a lot of the issues will come out, because the spin has already begun. And I'll digress a minute, because on my way in here, I was almost late. I got a call from someone who said that a local talk show host, former mayor, and part of C. Samuel Sutter's transition team, former mayor, one-term mayor, I'll add, Bob Correa, was talking about Joe Macy working 18 hours, and he works a lot more than that, and he can donate his time. It's absurd to say that. Wrong, Bob, wrong. You're wrong. That's not the way the law is. The law says that you have to work a maximum. You can only work a maximum of 960 hours. And if they allowed people to say, well, you know, I only work 18 hours on the clock and I put 750 hours a week in as a volunteer. No, that's not the way PERAC looks at it. Once you hit, if you're employed, all the hours you work while you're employed are counted. If you want to work as a volunteer, quit your job and come back as a volunteer. Lou Pacheco is under investigation as we speak, and I know that because I saw the letter that we got from the city asking, you know, basically who ratted him out. But it wasn't me. I can guarantee it wasn't anybody on a retirement board, because he doesn't come under our retirement board. He's got a county retirement. And I also know for a fact that a complaint has been lodged against Joe Macy, because Joe Macy actually had the audacity to go on WSAR and say, oh, I work more than 18 hours. It's just like, you know, but I'm volunteering. And when they investigate him, there will be an issue. So I segued into that just to say that the spin has already begun.
Of course.
Posting,
yes.
But that's it. So these are, I mean, I know you're new to the scene, but what do you think of these numbers here?
Well, I think people are more likely to vote for who can be more relatable to them. So with people saying that Correa has very little experience and he's young, I can see why he's on top. I think people want change, and they want someone who's relatable, someone who's personable. And from what I've heard, he's great at getting back to people and returning their calls. So.
Well, he doesn't take my emails. They all get bounced.
Well, you can't.
It's because it's you, CJ.
Yeah, it's me.
You can't blame him for that, CJ. There's a lot of people that don't take your emails. So.
There goes CJ. It's voicemail.
It's CJ. It goes to the spam. But let's move on to the city council.
Oh, yes. Let's move on.
I'm going to bring up that slide now. And again, thank you very much, you know, FRG TV and FRC Media. So we're looking at this, and we're looking at Sean Kadim having number 1, and we asked for change. We have pointed out on this show, the Herald News, WSAR, everyone's pointed out how he was complicit in a lot of the shenanigans that went on prior to the recall, yet for such change, they put him in number 1. Cliff Ponte, came in number 2. The guy worked hard, got out there, saw people. That's what he did. Whether you like him or not is irrelevant. Whether I like him or not is irrelevant. That's the way it is. What surprised me though was Linda came in number 3. Okay? Because again, you had a group of people screaming to get rid of her. Pam La Liberté LeBeau, another one. Everyone was screaming, she's selling out, da 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 da, she can't do this, she can't do that, and that's fine. Richard Cavaceres, I know this is one of many people's favorites, but, and then Joe Camara, then Ray Mitchell, Steve Long. Steve Camara and Trot Joseph Lee are tied for 9th place. I think they might be doing a recall, I'm not sure. I'm not going to speak to that, but, that's going to be very interesting to see. Now, you have Leo Pelletier, then Dan Rigo, Scott Donnelly, Jordan James Sylvia, Pat Casey, Jason Caminiti, Joshua Silva, and Emerald Gaudet. Now, interestingly enough, nowhere do you see any of the incumbents below the top 18. None of them. So you have to ask, if you want change so badly, if you are so adamant about getting it, why are they still there? Why? Because the people of Fall River are pathetic, they're apathetic, and they don't get out and vote. We could make this easy for them. We could actually say, sit in front of your Facebook Warrior keyboards and vote online, and you would still have the same voter outturn. You know why? Because they truly like to open their mouth, but not do anything about it. And that's our biggest problem with Fall River. We all have these alligator mouths, and guess what? They don't work.
Well, we're bipolar, and
yeah, exactly.
And
have to stop putting lithium in the water.
And this proves it. But you know what else it proves to me? And I mean, this is my opinion. I mean, this is not corroborated by any data. But the people of Fall River have bought the propaganda with the city council that, hey, look, it's all the mayor's fault. Strong mayor. Danny Rigo's whining at when he said, "Oh, we've got a strong mayor, and don't forget we've got a weak council." Well, no, you don't. You vote on everything, and it's mind-boggling that they've relegated the city council. As a matter of fact, we probably should even pay them if they're going to be basically just a bunch of people that win a popularity contest and don't legislate. Why should we bother paying them? Because the fact is, it should just be like it's like, okay, it's like, oh, let's look at it. Sean Kadim. Sean Kadim has a lot of issues here. He was one of the people that primarily was the architect of everything that Flanagan did, and Flanagan got recalled. Yeah, he's new to the council race, and then again, too, he's also well-known. So it's about a popularity issue, about name recognition. Cliff Ponte, on the other hand, as I said, he wasn't that well-known, but he did work his butt off. And I'm not endorsing or not endorsing, I'm just stating my opinion here. Cliff Ponte did work his butt off, so it showed. And he's got connections. I mean, he's a realtor. He's got, a lot of networking. And we go to Linda. Now, there's a classic case. Linda could probably walk into McDonald's and wipe the place out with an Uzi and still finish in 3rd place. I mean, it's all about personality and likability and popularity, and nothing about, obviously, in the city council, they're not held accountable for anything they do because they're forgetting everything they're complaining about, everything they're crucifying Sam Sutter about. Sam Sutter, he proposed and they disposed.
That's right.
They voted for it. Pamela Liberté. Okay, here's someone who was very close to the Flanagan administration, who got a park, that cost a lot of money, whose spouse was the person who put the tile in the Taj Mahal. Everybody forgets that little vignette. And then she jumped over to Mike Mioza. And so, but again, she's a political, she's a political person who has a lot of networks. The neighborhood associations create a network. You get to know. It's about name recognition, not about performance. It's like the people don't care about the city council. And I think, and then we go down the list, Richard Cabaceres was out there too. He was all over the place. I mean, if you open an envelope, he showed up. And
we had a mayor who did that. We had a mayor who did that.
That's right.
And the thing is that when you listen to all these people talk, whether it be on the city council side or the mayoral side, throughout both of the debates and forums that occurred, we didn't hear anything. All we heard was the same stories retold over and over again. I mean, I have a vision. It's the visions that are going to say, hey, if you got a vision, go see a psychiatrist, get some meds, okay? Because you know what? Fall River doesn't need a vision. Fall River needs action. And this is the problem that we have, okay? Everyone likes to live in their rose-colored glasses world. And you know what? The rose-colored glasses are getting broken.
And as you said, CJ, we look in all 9 city councilors with the big, everybody's saying we throw them all, they all made the top 18.
Right.
And the fact is, well, and I just saw a typo, you just tell them, and we appreciate them giving us these, but I think Raymond doesn't have a U in it. But
well, I don't know.
Raymond Mitchell.
That's Raymond, and we know it's a mound of something.
That's right. But see, here's another classic example. 2 of the 3 people who totally flipped their positions on everything from the Flanagan administration to the Sutter administration, who were big Sutter supporters, ended up in the top 9.
Right.
Ray Mitchell.
Correct.
And Linda Pereira. And Danny Rigo, I mean, let's face it, we're not even going to deal with the numbers here because the numbers, realistically now, almost everybody here is within striking distance of getting into the 8th or 9th position when it comes to city council if we have a better turnout in the final. And all I'm saying is I'm appalled by only 22%. I'd like to see 75 or 100%. But the fact is, let's come on. When you're going to vote in the final election, this is just a warm-up. This is a warm-up. But let's look at the records of these people. Let's apply the same litmus test that we do when selecting the mayor by evaluating what this guy has done and what this other guy's Let's do the same thing to the city council. And like I said, I'm not going to have a complaint. If at the final election 75% or better comes out, I'll say, well, the majority of people have spoken.
Right.
But if we have an election with 28%, we still got political hacks having far too much influence. And let's hold the city council accountable. They are the legislative branch of this government. They control the purse strings, and they have to approve every single tax increase, every single fee increase. So let's hold them to the same standard and vote for people who are doing the job. This is not a popularity contest. It's about our government.
No, in Fall River, it's a popularity contest, Chip. And the thing that gets me is they'll turn around and they say, oh, well, I got the majority of the votes. You know what? Yeah, you got the majority of the votes. But you know what? The majority of the votes is still the minority. And that's what they're missing. That's what they're truly missing. That even though they got the majority, it is still the minority because they're taking these majority of votes from this small group of people. Now, just so we can be very clear, and I know this is one of your pet peeves, Jordan's claim to fame has always been that he has his page, his Threw Up in Fall River page. It's over 10,000 people strong now. And you know what? I put a challenge out there to them. I said, even if only 40% of your group are residents of the city of Fall River, that's 4,000 voters. 40%, 10,000 people, 4,000 voters. All of you should go out tomorrow and vote. And with that 4,000 votes, they would have put Jordan as the mayoral candidate. And they would have put him at the top of the city council side. But no, it showed that 669 people came out and voted for him as mayor. And what was it, 1,600 people?
1,900.
1,900 people voted for him for city council. So, taking those numbers, that means 6.69%, less than 7% of his group voted for him. And that's if everyone who voted for him is from his group. And then 19% of his group, if it was all his group that went out and voted for him, which you can't put those two together because the numbers don't jive, voted for him. They wonder why people say you're not relevant. You're not relevant because you don't do anything. Okay? And they started complaining that, oh no, this is a forum for us to complain about the stuff. No, it's a forum for you to sit there at your keyboards. Okay? It's a great place. You want to debate, you want to share ideas, wonderful. I'm very happy for you. But put those ideas into action. Okay? How come the seniors can come out and vote? How come the Coalition for Social Nitwits can get 5,000 people out to vote in one day? I know, I love you, I knew you would love that one, Chip. How come the fire department, when they need to, can get 10,000 signatures in 1 week? Why? Because they have an interest. And as we always say on the show, there are two levers, Chip. What are they?
Fear and self-interest. But let me say, before I turn this over to Nisa, I want her spin on this because she's from Providence. But I'll tell you, you were calling out the Facebook page, but I don't care if it's Facebook or any book. I'm calling out the people who don't vote.
That's
because
right.
You know something, as much as it aggravates me when I see people that should not be in office get elected to office by a bunch of people who have political interests or personal interests, and their own agendas. It upsets me more when I know that these people only had the ability to elect these people because 60 or 70% of the people in this city who were eligible to vote sat on their dead rear ends and didn't do it. And what do you think about this from somebody who's been involved in Providence? And I know in Providence, Buddy and the rest of the people used to get a lot of people out to vote.
Well, that was different times, actually. Yeah. So with this Facebook and social media thing going on, people feel like they have a voice where they can comment, they can voice their opinions, but when it comes to actually taking action in control, they don't understand the importance of voting, and this percentage clearly shows it. So it all comes down to the fact that people like to be entertained, and that's what they spend their time in mostly. It would be social media, entertainment television, and they don't understand that that's keeping them away from the issues that are going on in their own communities. And I don't know, would it make sense to put these things on Facebook? CJ said that it wouldn't matter if they're on Facebook, if the elections were on Facebook or not.
I'm not sure, Nisa. I think it would be more.
That's not a good idea anyway.
No, I think it would be more. It would be better if people, and I know you were very active in the Dominican community,
yes, in Providence.
And it's only when you come together as a group, not on Facebook. You can use Facebook as a vehicle, but the fact is, it's when a community or a group, as we did in a whole bunch of people with different opinions came together in the recall. But it's when a group gets together, like you have seen that in Providence with the Latino community and with other communities that come together.
And you can use Facebook, like you said, to bring people together and bring awareness to a lot of issues. But when it comes to taking action, voting is very important, and that's where people go wrong. I mean, and this has happened as well too in Providence, not as often or as low, but it happens in a lot of places.
Oh, we know that. And it sounds to me like the end of our show is here. We never have enough time, I'm telling you. But remember people, you get the government you deserve. You voted for this, or you failed to vote for this. So eat it up. It's your party.
Stay angry and educate yourself. Lisa, you got to come up with an ending so you can say something too.
Like my post on Facebook. Like my Facebook page.